When you stop resisting, life begins to bless you. And what does it mean to resist? Resistance is the constant friction you create against the river of existence, the struggle to push away what is, to cling to what you think should be. How often have you found yourself fighting reality, hoping that it would conform to your desires, only to discover that the harder you push, the more it slips away like sand through your fingers? It is as though life is whispering to you, relax, release, let go. Yet we are caught in the illusion that control is our salvation, that by grasping tightly we can secure happiness, peace, or success. But the truth is, the tighter you hold, the more you resist the very essence of life. And in doing so, you block the blessings that are always attempting to flow toward you. Resistance comes in many forms. Sometimes it is obvious the stubborn refusal to accept loss, disappointment, or change. Sometimes it is subtle, the constant questioning, the mental arguments, the endless planning for a future that never arrives exactly as imagined. Resistance is not only a battle with external circumstances, but also a battle within. We resist our own emotions, our fears, our desires, our doubts. We resist the present moment because it is not the moment we want. And yet, all the while, life is offering you a gift if only you would open your hand. Imagine a tree in the wind. If the tree resists the wind, it breaks. If it bends and sways, it survives. There is a profound lesson in this. Resistance is rigid, bending is life. You see, when you stop resisting, when you cease the endless struggle against the tide, life does not punish you for letting go. Rather, it blesses you in ways that are subtle, profound, and sometimes astonishing. The moment you stop wrestling with reality, you begin to experience life as it is meant to be experienced, not as a series of obstacles to overcome, but as a dance of continuous unfolding. Life, in its infinite intelligence, knows how to take care of you if only you trust it. There is a rhythm, a pulse, a flow that guides the universe. And yet, human beings are prone to interrupt this flow with their insistence, their anxieties, their compulsions. We believe that if we control every detail, if we anticipate every outcome, if we micromanage every encounter, then we will finally secure happiness. But the paradox is that this very effort blocks the blessings that are ready to arrive. The more you push, the more elusive they become. The more you struggle, the heavier life feels. But when you pause, when you release the grip, when you stop resisting, a curious transformation begins. Doors open where you least expect them. Opportunities arrive disguised as ordinary moments. People, situations, and circumstances align in ways that seem almost miraculous. Consider the river again. The river does not resist the rocks or the bends in its path. It flows around them, over them, under them, and sometimes even through them. And in doing so, it reaches its destination effortlessly, naturally, inevitably. You, too, are a river. You are flowing through life, encountering obstacles, curves, and unexpected turns. And yet, how often do you stop the flow, fight against the inevitable, demand that life conform to your narrow vision? How often do you create unnecessary suffering by saying, this should not be happening, or I must make it happen my way? Resistance, in this sense, is a form of suffering. Release is the first step toward joy. Releasing does not mean passivity. It does not mean giving up or abandoning effort. It means a shift in consciousness, a letting go of the idea that you must control the outcome. It means acting from a place of alignment rather than from a place of struggle. The paradox of life is that the more you surrender to its natural flow, the more empowered you become. When you stop resisting, life begins to bless you. Not because life is rewarding you for being compliant, because the very act of resistance has been a barrier between you and the blessings that are always present. Notice how often we resist our own growth. We resist change because it is unfamiliar. We resist love because it is vulnerable. We resist joy because it feels fleeting. We resist peace because it is quiet. And in this resistance, we create tension and suffering. But when you allow yourself to experience life fully, without judgment, without insistence, without grasping, you step into a space of ease. In this space, life blessings no longer need to knock at the door, they enter naturally. It is not that life suddenly becomes perfect. It is that your perception shifts, your heart opens, and you see the abundance that has always been there. Breathing is a perfect metaphor for this process. When you try to force your breath, to hold it, to control it, it becomes uncomfortable, strained. But when you relax, allow it to flow naturally, the breath nourishes you effortlessly. Life operates in the same way. It is a rhythm, a pulse, a natural circulation. When you stop resisting, when you align yourself with this rhythm, blessings flow as effortlessly as your own breath. You are not creating the flow. You are allowing it to manifest through you. Let us explore the role of fear in resistance. Fear is one of the most common forms of resistance. We fear failure, loss, rejection, the unknown. And in our fear, we grip tightly, attempt to control outcomes, and create elaborate strategies to protect ourselves. But fear is a shadow that blocks life's blessings. The moment you release fear, the moment you stop resisting it, the moment you breathe into uncertainty, life opens its hands. Opportunities appear where fear once cast its shadow. You may not know what lies ahead, but in the act of surrender, a remarkable truth emerges. Life is always conspiring in your favor, even when it does not appear to be. Gratitude is another way to dissolve resistance. When you resist life, you often resist gratitude, because gratitude requires acceptance of what is. To be grateful for the moment, for the people around you, for the lessons, even for the hardships, is to step out of the cycle of struggle. Gratitude is the bridge between resistance and blessing. The more you cultivate it, the less room there is for resistance. And the more you release resistance, the more you feel blessed. Life is not a series of problems to be solved. It is a river of experiences to be embraced, a field of opportunities to be noticed, a symphony in which every note, even the discordant ones, has its place. You might ask, how do I stop resisting when resistance feels so ingrained? It begins with awareness. Notice when you are resisting. Observe the thoughts, the tensions, the judgments, the expectations. Acknowledge them without condemnation. Then gently, deliberately choose to release. Release the need to control. Release the need to be right. Release the need to know what comes next. Release the stories you tell yourself about how life should unfold. And as you do, you will notice a subtle shift, a gentle opening. Life begins to move with you rather than against you. Sometimes resistance manifests as impatience. You want something to happen now, immediately, and when it does not, you struggle. But life has its own timing. It is not bound by your schedule, your plans, or your desires. To resist this timing is to resist life itself. Patience is not merely waiting. It is the conscious choice to align with the flow, to trust the unfolding, to know that blessings are arriving, even if they do not appear according to your timetable. The moment you stop forcing, the moment you stop struggling, the moment you trust, you open yourself to miracles in motion. Resistance also arises from attachment. We attach to people, outcomes, possessions, identities, ideas, and when we cling, we create friction. But when we loosen our grip, we create space for life to enter. It is not that you lose, it is that you gain more than you imagined. Life begins to bless you when your hands are open. The universe responds not to tension but to openness, not to grasping but to allowing. There is an intelligence in letting go, in stepping back, in trusting the flow. Consider the art of music. A musician does not force the notes, they flow. The silence between the notes is as important as the sound. The pauses, the spaces, the moments of surrender, they give the music life. Life itself is like this. The moments when you stop resisting, when you allow, when you breathe, are the pauses that give rhythm to your existence. They are the spaces in which life's blessings emerge, sometimes unexpectedly, sometimes quietly, sometimes in ways that transform everything. Resistance is often rooted in identity. You define yourself by certain beliefs, roles, or narratives, and when life challenges them, you resist. But identity is fluid, like water. The more rigid you are, the more you resist the flow. The more you embrace your own fluidity, your capacity to adapt, to change, to grow, the more life aligns with you. You are not separate from the flow, you are part of it. And when you stop resisting, you discover that life is not an opponent, but a partner, a collaborator, a co-creator. Even the challenges, the hardships, the pain, when met without resistance, become teachers rather than obstacles. They are the rough stones that shape the river, the winds that bend the trees, the waves that sculpt the shore. Resistance amplifies suffering, surrender transforms it into learning, into growth, into blessing. To stop resisting is not to deny difficulty, it is to meet it with awareness, acceptance, and openness. In this space, the hidden gifts of life become visible. What once seemed unbearable may now be a stepping stone. What once seemed like misfortune may now be the vehicle for transformation. And there is a profound joy in this realization. When you stop resisting, life begins to bless you not just with external rewards, but with internal liberation. The mind quiets, the heart softens, the spirit expands. You no longer need to chase happiness because you recognize that it is not a distant destination, but a natural state that arises when resistance falls away. You no longer need to fight life because you see that the current is carrying you toward experiences, lessons, and joys that you cannot yet imagine, but that are perfectly suited to your growth. Life is patient. It waits for you to release your grip, to soften your heart, to open your hands. It waits for you to trust, to flow, to breathe. And when you do, blessings arrive, not in ways you demand, not in forms you anticipate, but in forms that are more profound than you could have imagined. The universe is generous, infinitely intelligent, and always seeking to express itself through you. But this expression is blocked by resistance, by struggle, by the insistence that life conform to your limited vision. So, take a deep breath. Let go of the need to control. Release the judgments, the fears, the expectations. Open your senses to the present moment, to the infinite possibilities that are always unfolding around you. Notice the subtle ways in which life is already supporting you, already guiding you, already blessing you. See the small miracles, the synchronicities, the moments of grace that you might have overlooked while resisting. And as you do, you will find that life flows with greater ease, that opportunities appear, that joy arises, that love manifests, and that the blessings of existence are no longer distant or conditional. They are here, now, within your reach. You are not separate from life. You are not battling the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself, and when you stop resisting, you allow this experience to unfold in its natural beauty. Resistance is an illusion. Surrender is reality. Resistance creates friction, tension, and limitation. Surrender creates flow, harmony, and expansion. Resistance makes life difficult. Surrender allows it to be effortless. And so the blessing is not something to earn, to grasp, or to achieve. It is something that emerges naturally when you stop resisting and begin to participate fully in the rhythm of life. The journey is not about controlling, conquering, or securing. It is about noticing, allowing, and flowing. It is about understanding that the very act of resistance has been the obstacle all along. The moment you release, the moment you soften, the moment you open, life begins to bless you in ways both subtle and magnificent. And so the invitation is clear: stop resisting, stop clinging, stop struggling. Open your hands, breathe deeply, and allow life to show you the beauty, the abundance, and the infinite grace that has always been waiting. For when you stop resisting, life begins to bless you, and in that blessing, you discover not only the world but yourself in your most radiant, expansive, and free form. Think of the clouds drifting across the sky. They do not resist the wind. They do not fight their journey. They transform, they shift, they dissolve, and in their passing, they nourish the earth below. You, too, are like these clouds, moving through the currents of life, yet so often clinging to forms, to ideas, to outcomes. You imagine that if you hold tightly enough, if you control enough, then you can secure permanence in a world defined by impermanence. And yet the more you cling, the more fragile your grasp becomes. Release, in contrast, is a profound act of courage. It is saying, I trust this life, I trust myself, I trust the unfolding of all things. It is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is not passivity, it is alignment. The paradox of life is that by letting go, you gain more than you could ever achieve through struggle. Resistance narrows your vision, surrender expands it. Resistance creates tension. Surrender creates space. Resistance locks you in the prison of expectation. Surrender allows you to step into the vast, open field of possibility. Every moment you resist is a moment of missed opportunity, a moment when blessings are at your doorstep but cannot enter because the door is closed. And yet, when you stop resisting, when you allow the world to move through you rather than against you, life begins to show you its generosity in ways subtle and profound. Consider the ocean. The ocean does not demand the moon to rise at a certain hour. It does not resist the tides. It does not fight the storms. And yet, it is powerful beyond measure. It shapes continents, sustains life, and reflects the sky with perfect clarity. You, too, are an ocean. You contain depths, currents, and waves that are more vast than your mind can comprehend. When you resist, you stir turbulence. When you surrender, you flow with the infinite rhythm of existence, allowing your power to express itself naturally, without effort, without strain. Resistance also manifests in the mind through the endless chatter of shoulds and musts. I should be further ahead. I must succeed. I should not feel this way. These thoughts are like knots, binding you to a version of reality that exists only in your mind. But life is not your concept of it. Life is what is unfolding now, moment by moment, and it is not bound by your expectations. When you release these mental constraints, when you let go of the shoulds and musts, the flow of life becomes clear. The mind becomes calm, perception becomes keen, and the blessings that were always present become apparent. There is a mysterious alchemy in the act of letting go. You may fear that releasing will lead to emptiness, to loss, to chaos. Yet paradoxically, this is the moment when fullness arrives. When you stop resisting, you are not left with nothing. You are left with everything. Everything that has been waiting to manifest finds its way into your life. Opportunities appear as if by magic, synchronicities reveal themselves, and people come into your orbit who are aligned with your growth. It is not coincidence. It is the natural law of life responding to openness. Resistance obstructs, surrender invites. Resistance contracts, surrender expands. The body itself teaches us this lesson. Muscles that are tense cannot perform optimally. They are restricted, rigid, and prone to injury. Muscles that are relaxed move fluidly with power and grace. Life, in its infinite intelligence, is no different. Tension and resistance create friction. Openness and relaxation create flow. You may resist love, fearing rejection. You may resist success, fearing failure. You may resist change, fearing the unknown. And in each case, your resistance creates suffering, the act of surrender. Allowing love, allowing success, allowing change brings ease, clarity, and the effortless unfolding of blessings. Observe how children move through life. They do not resist the moment. They play, explore, cry, laugh, and dream without insisting that the world conform to their expectations. Their joy is natural, uncontrived. As we grow older, we learn resistance to disappointment, resistance to discomfort, resistance to life itself. Yet the essence of joy is still there, waiting to be reclaimed. The path to blessings begins with remembering how to move like a child, curious, open, playful, and accepting. The moment you reclaim this openness, life begins to shower you with experiences that are rich, nourishing, and transformative. Resistance also affects relationships. We resist people when they do not act according to our expectations. We resist love when it comes in forms that are unfamiliar or uncomfortable. We resist connection when vulnerability feels risky. And in this resistance, we close the door to intimacy, to understanding, to the flow of human connection. Yet the moment we release resistance, when we accept others as they are, when we meet life with openness rather than judgment, relationships deepen, trust grows, and love blossoms in ways that cannot be forced or controlled. Think about the seasons. Winter does not resist spring. Spring does not resist summer. Each season fulfills its purpose naturally, unfolding in perfect timing. Human life is no different. There are seasons of growth, seasons of rest, seasons of challenge, and seasons of ease. Resistance arises when we try to force one season into another, when we push against the natural rhythm. Surrender, in contrast, is the recognition that each season has its gifts. Each moment, no matter how uncomfortable, carries blessings when you are willing to release your insistence on control and accept the unfolding. The mind often fabricates narratives to justify resistance. This should not have happened. That should not exist. I should be different. I must do better. These narratives are illusions, barriers to the present. Life in its perfection does not require justification. It does not ask for approval. It simply is. When you stop constructing stories, when you stop defending yourself against what is, you enter a space of clarity. In this space, the blessings of life arrive unimpeded. You begin to see solutions, possibilities, and beauty that were previously hidden by the fog of resistance. The act of surrender is also an act of trust, Not blind trust, but conscious trust. Trust that life is capable, that the universe is intelligent, that you are not separate from the flow. Trust that even in apparent setbacks, there are lessons, guidance, and blessings waiting to be revealed. This trust is not passive, it is active engagement with life from a place of alignment rather than opposition. The more you cultivate trust, the easier it becomes to release resistance, and the more fluidly blessings enter your life. Even your ambitions and goals are best served by release rather than resistance. When you push with force, you often meet frustration, stagnation, or burnout. But when you align your efforts with the natural flow of your abilities, opportunities, and circumstances, you move with grace. Goals are achieved not merely through struggle, but through the integration of action and surrender. You work diligently, yet without obsession. You strive, yet without desperation. You move forward, yet without force. This is the subtle art of allowing life to bless you while pursuing your desires. Resistance is often fueled by fear of uncertainty. We cling to the familiar even when it no longer serves us, because the unknown feels unsafe. Yet life itself is an ever-changing tapestry, and security is never found in rigidity. True security is found in flexibility, adaptability, and openness. The moment you embrace uncertainty, when you let go of the need to know and control, life begins to provide in ways you could not have planned. It is in the unknown that creativity, inspiration, and transformation flourish. Resistance closes the door. Surrender opens it. Observe nature's creatures. The bird does not resist the wind, it rides it. The fish does not resist the current, it flows with it. The flower does not resist the seasons, it blooms in its time. Each has learned the art of surrender, and in surrender each thrives. You, too, can learn this art. You can allow life to move through you, rather than pushing against it. You can trust that each moment, each encounter, each challenge, and each joy is contributing to your growth, even if its purpose is not immediately clear. The blessings that emerge when you stop resisting are often unexpected. They may not resemble what you imagined or planned. They may arrive as people, opportunities, or insights that feel strange at first. But life has a way of showing you that what appears unusual is precisely what you need. Resistance blinds you to these subtle gifts. Surrender opens your eyes, your heart, and your mind to the endless generosity of existence. When you stop resisting, you also stop struggling against time. You realize that the present moment is sufficient, that the past cannot be changed, and that the future is shaped by the alignment of your actions and intentions now. Resistance is always a temporal trap. It anchors you in regret, anxiety, or anticipation. Surrender releases you into the eternal now, where life's blessings are immediate and abundant. In this present moment, you find clarity, peace, and the space to receive. Even the body, the breath, the senses, all teach this lesson. You cannot force a flower to bloom, a seed to grow, or a fruit to ripen. You can nurture, you can care, you can prepare, but the timing, the unfolding, the miracle of growth is beyond control. So too, with your own life, you can prepare, you can strive, you can act, but the results emerge in their own time. Resistance tries to force what cannot be forced. Surrender allows what must be to emerge naturally. The world itself mirrors this truth. Attempting to control others, circumstances, or outcomes generates tension, conflict, and disappointment. Letting go, in contrast, fosters harmony, cooperation, and serendipity. Life begins to work with you rather than against you. The moment you release, The moment you stop resisting, you become a conduit for blessings to flow. You may notice that doors open, paths appear, and solutions emerge effortlessly. You may notice that joy, love, creativity, and abundance begin to manifest where before there was struggle, limitation, and tension. Even pain and discomfort, when met without resistance, transform into profound teachers. The resistance to pain amplifies suffering. Acceptance dissolves it. You do not need to enjoy pain, nor must you cling to it. But in releasing resistance, you allow healing insight and growth. Life is not about avoiding difficulty. It is about flowing through it, learning from it, and emerging strengthened. Blessings often arrive disguised as challenges, and only when resistance falls away can you perceive their true nature. Consider the wind. You cannot see it, you cannot control it, you cannot predict every gust. And yet it moves the leaves, caresses the skin, fills the sails of ships, and shapes the landscape over time. The wind is a perfect teacher of surrender. When you stop resisting it, you move with it rather than against it. You experience its power not as a threat, but as a force that carries you forward. Life works in the same way. You may not understand every turn, every gust, every unexpected moment. But the moment you cease resistance, you discover that the current itself carries blessings, opportunities, and insights that your struggling mind could never have manufactured. Resistance often arises from attachment to identity. I am this person. I must act this way. I cannot change. And so we resist change, growth, and evolution. But the self is fluid, ever shifting, ever evolving. To resist this truth is to create suffering. To embrace it is to open the door to freedom. The moment you stop resisting your own evolution, you step into a life that is expansive, rich, and full of possibility. You become aware that you are not bound by past limitations or imagined failures. You are a living, breathing process of transformation, and the blessings of life unfold when you align with this natural flow. Even in the face of loss, resistance can prevent healing. We cling to what was, to what might have been, to familiar pain or comfort. We resist the inevitable change, and in this resistance the blessing is delayed. But the moment we allow ourselves to grieve, to release, to surrender to what is, life begins to fill the void with unexpected gifts. New relationships, new opportunities, new insights emerge, not as replacements, but as expansions of what is possible. Resistance keeps you in the shadows. Surrender brings you into the light. Think of a river meeting a waterfall. If the water resists the edge, it splashes, it crashes, it suffers. But if it flows with the drop, it creates beauty, momentum, and energy. Life is your waterfall, and resistance is the struggle against the inevitable descent. When you release resistance, when you flow over the edge, you transform fear into exhilaration, struggle into grace, and uncertainty into possibility. The blessings of life are waiting at the edge, and only surrender allows you to reach them fully. Resistance is often reinforced by comparison. They have more. They are happier. They are successful. And so we resist our own path, feeling that what is happening in our life is insufficient. But comparison is a form of resistance to the uniqueness of your own journey. Each life has its rhythm, its timing, its lessons, and its gifts. The moment you stop resisting your path, the moment you cease comparing, you align with your own unfolding. Life begins to bless you with exactly what you need, when you need it, in forms that cannot be replicated or copied. Even the smallest acts of surrender create openings for blessings. A deep breath, a pause before reacting, a moment of acceptance, a simple smile. These are all gestures of release. Each one loosens the grip of resistance and allows the flow of life to enter more fully. And as you cultivate these small acts, you notice a ripple effect. Circumstances shift, interactions improve, clarity emerges, and opportunities appear where previously there was struggle. Life responds not to force, but to openness, not to tension, but to fluidity. The mind often invents stories to justify resistance. This is unfair. That should not have happened. I am not ready. These stories keep you imprisoned in mental conflict, cutting you off from the blessings that are always present. To stop resisting is to recognize these narratives for what they are: temporary constructions of thought, not reality itself. The moment you let go of these stories, life becomes immediate, vivid, and abundant. You begin to perceive what has always been there, but which resistance obscured. The river of life flows naturally, and the blessings it carries are available to you in every moment. The body itself mirrors this principle. When muscles are tight, movement is restricted. When the body resists tension, energy is blocked and performance diminishes. Relaxation, openness, and surrender allow the body to function at its fullest potential. So too with the mind and spirit. Resistance creates friction, stress, and limitation. Surrender creates clarity, creativity, and expansion. You may resist change, resist discomfort, resist uncertainty, but in doing so, you obstruct your own flow. Release, in contrast, is liberation. It is the doorway to life's abundant blessings. Life often teaches through paradox. The very act of letting go often brings what we most desire. We cling to control, and it slips through our fingers. We release, and it arrives effortlessly. We resist love, and it eludes us. We open our hearts, and love flows in. We resist joy, and it seems distant. We surrender to the present moment, and joy becomes our natural state. This paradox is not a mystery to be solved, it is a truth to be experienced. Resistance creates a barrier, surrender removes it. Resistance creates friction, surrender creates flow. Resistance keeps you small, surrender allows you to expand. Even in the face of uncertainty, surrender is the key to blessing. Life is inherently uncertain. The future is unknowable, and yet resistance arises when we demand certainty. We struggle against the unknown. We fear what may come, and we attempt to control outcomes that are beyond control. But uncertainty is not a threat. It is the canvas of possibility. To stop resisting uncertainty is to embrace opportunity, creativity, and growth. The moment you relinquish the need for certainty, the moment you allow life to surprise you, blessings appear in forms more profound than you could have imagined. Resistance also manifests in attachment to outcomes. I must succeed. I must be recognized. I must achieve this goal. And when outcomes do not align with expectations, suffering arises. But the act of surrender does not negate ambition or action. It transforms them. You act with clarity, focus, and alignment rather than desperation, tension, or fear. You move through life with purpose, but without clinging, and the blessings arrive naturally, often in unexpected and transformative ways. Even nature demonstrates this principle repeatedly. A seed does not resist soil, water, or sun. It yields to the elements, and in this yielding it grows. The tree does not resist wind or rain. It bends, and in bending it stands strong. The bird does not resist the air. It rides the currents, finding freedom and sustenance. In each instance, life thrives not through resistance, but through harmony with what is. You, too, are part of this natural flow. The moment you release resistance, the moment you align with life rather than oppose it, you step into your own flourishing. Blessings often arrive in subtle forms. They are not always grand, dramatic, or immediate. Sometimes they appear as insights, opportunities, small shifts in perspective, or fleeting moments of joy. Resistance blinds you to these subtle manifestations. Surrender opens your perception. When you stop resisting, you begin to notice life's gentle nudges, life's quiet orchestration, and life's abundant provision. The blessings are always present, but resistance keeps you from receiving them. Release is the act of opening your senses, your heart, and your mind to the richness that is already here. Even your thoughts about the future can be a form of resistance. Constant planning, anticipating, and strategizing can create tension and anxiety. While preparation has its place, obsession with outcomes creates rigidity. Life is a dance between preparation and surrender, action and allowing, intention and flow. The more you cultivate the capacity to act without grasping, to plan without clinging, the more life aligns to bring you what you need. Blessings appear not because you forced them, but because resistance has been removed. Resistance is also an internal struggle. You may resist your own feelings, your own desires, or your own instincts. You may reject parts of yourself that feel uncomfortable, unworthy, or unaccepted. And in doing so, you cut off the flow of life through your own being. Surrender is the acceptance of all that you are, of all that you feel, and of all that arises within you. The moment you stop resisting yourself, you begin to experience life fully. The blessings of growth, clarity, creativity, and connection flow naturally because resistance has been lifted. Even in work, creativity, and achievement, the principle applies. The more you force ideas, push projects, or struggle to produce outcomes, the more blocked you become. The act of surrender, pausing, observing, allowing inspiration to emerge, opens the door to profound creativity, insight, and innovation. Resistance blocks the current, surrender opens it. The blessings of intuition, ingenuity, and serendipity become available when you release, struggle, and align with the natural rhythm of life. Fear is perhaps the most pervasive form of resistance. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. And yet, fear is not reality, it is the mind's interpretation of reality. When you stop resisting fear, when you acknowledge it, allow it, and move through it, you find that it loses its grip. The moment resistance to fear falls away, life reveals paths, opportunities, and support that were previously obscured. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the release of resistance to it. In this release, life blesses you with clarity, empowerment, and transformation. Life itself is a river of possibility, a flowing current of experiences, lessons, and gifts. Resistance is the stone that blocks the current, creating turbulence and stagnation. Surrender is the removal of the stone, the alignment with the flow, and the embrace of the current as it moves through you. When you stop resisting, life begins to bless you in ways that are profound, subtle, and often unexpected. You may not see the pattern immediately, but the results unfold with clarity, synchronicity, and abundance over time. Every moment is an opportunity to practice surrender. Each breath, each interaction, each challenge, each joy is a chance to release resistance and align with the flow. The more you cultivate this practice, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it becomes, the more blessings you receive, not as rewards for effort, but as expressions of life's generosity, available to you when you are open, receptive, and aligned. As you continue through life, there is a gentle truth that emerges again and again. The moment you stop resisting, life begins to bless you. This is not a mere cliché, but a living reality, a principle as natural as the rising and setting of the sun, as inevitable as the flow of the tides. Resistance creates tension, struggle, and suffering. Surrender, in contrast, opens doors, dissolves barriers, and reveals the blessings that have always been present, quietly waiting for you to release your grip. To surrender does not mean to abandon action or ambition. It does not mean inaction or passivity. It means moving with the natural rhythm of life rather than against it. It means recognizing that every obstacle, every challenge, every moment of discomfort carries a hidden gift. Life is intelligent, subtle, and infinitely generous. But these gifts cannot enter when your hands are clenched, when your mind is rigid, when your heart is closed. Release is the key that opens the door to abundance, joy, creativity, love, and peace. There is a profound elegance in the art of letting go. When you release the need to control every outcome, you free yourself to experience life fully. When you stop resisting the flow of events, you begin to perceive opportunities that were previously invisible. When you open your heart to accept what is, rather than clinging to what was or what you imagine should be, life unfolds in miraculous ways. You begin to notice the synchronicities, the small miracles, the quiet moments of grace that have always been present, but which resistance obscured. Consider the human mind. It is powerful, creative, and capable of great insight. Yet it is also prone to constructing walls of resistance, imagining threats, predicting outcomes, and clinging to illusions. The more you resist, the heavier the mind becomes, the more it obscures your perception of life's natural abundance. But the moment you pause, breathe, and release the need to control, the mind clears. The clouds of worry, fear, and judgment dissipate. Clarity emerges. Perspective deepens. And with this newfound clarity, the blessings of life become unmistakable. Life has its own timing. You may feel impatient, as though the blessings you desire are delayed, or as though life is moving too slowly. But impatience is itself a form of resistance. It says, life should move according to my schedule, rather than trusting the infinite intelligence that orchestrates the unfolding of every moment. Patience is not passive waiting. It is conscious alignment. It is the art of moving with life's rhythm rather than against it. And when you cultivate patience, the blessings arrive, not necessarily in the form you expected, but in ways that surpass what you imagined. Even suffering, when met without resistance, transforms into a source of profound insight. The pain, the disappointment, the loss, these are not punishments or mistakes. They are teachers, guides, and catalysts for growth. Resistance amplifies suffering, surrender transforms it. By releasing the struggle, you allow the lessons to be absorbed, the insights to arise, and the transformation to take place. In this space, life blesses you not despite difficulty, but because of it. Every relationship, every interaction, every encounter is an opportunity to practice surrender. You may resist people who act differently than you expect, situations that challenge your comfort, or moments that demand patience. Yet each resistance is a barrier to the blessings inherent in that moment. When you release judgment, expectation, and insistence, you open yourself to connection, understanding, and harmony. The universe conspires to show you that even those who challenge you are part of the unfolding, and that blessings often arrive through the very friction you once resisted. Even the simple act of breathing embodies this truth. Breath flows naturally when you stop forcing it. Life flows naturally when you stop forcing it. Resistance obstructs, surrender allows. When you inhale fully, without struggle, you nourish every cell in your body. When you exhale fully, without tension, you release what no longer serves you. In the same way, life blesses you when you breathe deeply, release resistance, and allow the current of existence to carry you forward. There is also a profound lesson in impermanence. Everything changes: the seasons, circumstances, relationships, and even our own thoughts and feelings. Resistance arises when we cling to permanence, when we insist that life remain as it is. Surrender, in contrast, is acceptance of the transient nature of all things. When you embrace impermanence, you discover that life's blessings are not limited to fixed forms or outcomes. They are ever present, flowing through every moment, transforming constantly, and revealing themselves in ways beyond imagination. Even fear itself is a teacher. Fear is not a threat, it is a signal, a guide pointing to areas where surrender is required. Fear disappears not by battling it, but by acknowledging it, accepting it, and allowing it to flow. The moment resistance to fear falls away, courage emerges. The moment resistance to fear falls away, clarity emerges. The moment resistance to fear falls away, the blessings of life reveal themselves. Creativity, inspiration, and insight also flow from surrender. When you stop struggling to force ideas, when you release rigid expectations, and when you allow your mind to wander freely, innovation and brilliance emerge naturally. Resistance blocks the current, surrender opens it. The blessings of inspiration are always present, waiting to be noticed, but only when the mind is free from struggle, tension, and insistence. Even in work, ambition, and achievement, surrender plays a crucial role. You may strive with intensity, but struggle against circumstances often leads to frustration. Success flows most naturally when effort is combined with alignment, action with acceptance, and striving with release. The moment you release the need to control every outcome, you begin to notice paths, opportunities, and solutions that were previously invisible. Life works with you, rather than against you, when resistance is set aside. Nature is the ultimate teacher of surrender. Rivers do not fight their course, they flow. Trees do not resist wind, they bend. Birds do not resist air currents, they ride them. Flowers do not resist the seasons, they bloom in perfect timing. Each of these examples reflects the same truth: resistance limits growth, while surrender allows flourishing. You are part of this natural order. When you stop resisting, life blesses you in ways that are perfectly aligned with your being. Even the smallest moments hold the potential for blessings when resistance is released. A smile, a kind word, a pause before reacting, a deep breath, these simple gestures cultivate surrender. Each one opens the door for life to flow. Each one expands your capacity to receive joy, love, clarity, and abundance. These small acts of surrender accumulate, creating a life in which blessings are not occasional, but constant, ever-present, and deeply transformative. The act of surrender is ultimately an act of trust. Trust in life, trust in your own being, trust in the intelligence that orchestrates the unfolding of existence. Resistance arises when trust is absent. Surrender emerges when trust is present. When you cultivate trust, you move through life with a sense of ease, grace, and alignment. You notice opportunities, perceive hidden blessings, and encounter support in ways that were impossible when resistance ruled. Even the challenges that appear insurmountable carry hidden blessings when resistance is released. Every obstacle, every difficulty, every moment of discomfort has a purpose, a lesson, and a gift. Resistance obscures this truth, surrender reveals it. By releasing the need to control, to insist, to push, you allow life to show you its intelligence. The blessing lies not in avoiding difficulty, but in moving through it with awareness, presence, and openness. The heart is the center of surrender. It is the place where resistance dissolves and blessings enter. When you close your heart in fear, doubt, or expectation, life's gifts are blocked. When you open your heart fully, without judgment, without insistence, without resistance, the blessings flow. Love, joy, clarity, connection, abundance, all emerge naturally when the heart is open. Life itself is a dance of impermanence, uncertainty, and infinite possibility. Resistance is the step that keeps you rigid, out of rhythm, and disconnected. Surrender is the step that aligns you with the music, allowing you to move fluidly, joyfully, and fully present. When you stop resisting, you do not merely survive, you flourish. You do not merely exist, you thrive. You do not merely see the world, you become aware of the endless blessings that life offers in every moment. Even the concept of control is revealed as an illusion. The more you cling to control, the more resistance arises. The more resistance arises, the more blessings are blocked. The moment you release the need to control, the moment you trust the flow of life, the blessings appear effortlessly. Life is not something to conquer, it is something to participate in. The more you participate through surrender rather than struggle, the more abundant, rich, and transformative the experience becomes. And so, the invitation is clear. Stop resisting. Release the tension in your body, your mind, your heart. Open your hands, open your mind, open your heart. Allow life to move through you rather than against you. Trust the process, trust your own being, and trust the intelligence that orchestrates the unfolding of existence. The blessings are already here, already waiting. They are always present, always abundant, always flowing. Resistance has only obscured them. Release, and they reveal themselves naturally, gracefully, and magnificently. The journey of life is not a battle, but a dance. Not a struggle, but a flow. Not a conquest, but an unfolding. The moment you stop resisting, you step fully into this truth. Life begins to bless you, not as a reward for effort, but as a natural consequence of alignment. The blessings manifest in ways both subtle and profound, in moments both ordinary and extraordinary. They arrive when you breathe, when you pause, when you release, when you allow. The ultimate realization is this: you are part of life, not separate from it. You are not battling the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself. Resistance is the illusion of separation. Surrender is the recognition of unity. When you release resistance, you experience the flow of life as it truly is: abundant, intelligent, generous, and endlessly unfolding. So breathe deeply. Release the need to control. Open your heart. Trust the flow. Step into the rhythm of existence. Notice the subtle blessings in every moment. Allow life to move through you with grace. In surrender, you find clarity. In surrender, you find peace. In surrender, you find joy. And in surrender, you discover that life has always been blessing you, waiting only for you to open your hands, your mind, and your heart to receive. The river flows, the wind moves, the sun rises, the seasons turn. And you, too, are flowing, moving, unfolding. Resistance is not required. Struggle is not necessary. Life is not opposed to you. It is your partner, your guide, your collaborator. Release, and you discover the infinite abundance, beauty, and grace that have always been present. When you stop resisting, life begins to bless you, And in this blessing you find not only the world, but yourself in your most expansive, radiant, and free expression.